Hey, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today we're going to talk about why you need an experienced probate lawyer. This is one of our case studies from one of our situations. Again, we always anonymize and change the details just enough to protect the privacy and confidentiality of our clients. So let's talk about Linda's story. She spent 6 months working with a general lawyer. And what I mean by that is somebody who did personal injury on Mondays, litigation on Tuesdays, and just a dash of probate on the side. But eventually, after 6 months and not much progress, Linda got pretty fed up, so she transferred the case to us. Sadly, after 6 months, we realized we are basically starting from scratch because it's as if the general lawyer did nothing at all. And Linda was very disappointed and upset, and I can't say that I blame her.
Kind of rightfully perturbed.
Yeah. All right, so first let's talk about what causes probate delays. And I hate to judge, but sometimes it's just a bad lawyer.
Is what it is.
So in Linda's situation, 6 months went by and she had nothing. It's as though nothing had happened. And one of the reasons was because the general lawyer didn't know what preliminary letters testamentary were.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. And what that means is that if you have a complicated probate, if you can tell that the probate's going to take a while to process, which again an experienced attorney would be able to see right off the bat, then you immediately file and ask the court for preliminary letters testamentary. And these have some limitations on them. They're a little different. You're not a full executor, but you do have the authority to start doing things like collecting rent from an income-producing property, or talking to the hospitals and getting certain information. Just you can get started at least.
Yeah, you can get moving, right?
Yeah. So Linda could have been at least doing a good portion of her executor duties during these past at least 4 months, 4 or 5 months. But no, nothing, because she didn't have that. Another reason probate can get delayed by bad lawyering. In Linda's case, the petition was kind of all wrong. The general lawyer, I guess he or she had, experience with more simple cases, but Linda's case was not that simple. And the family tree was all wrong. None of the family members who needed to be notified had been notified. And as a matter of fact, because this general lawyer didn't know, who needed to be notified, they hadn't even collected names or contact information. We were literally starting from scratch. We had to figure out who was who. Yeah.
101, right?
Yeah.
Probate 108, get the information.
We didn't even have the list of who we should be calling. I mean, we had to put that.
No.
Okay. And lastly, why sometimes bad lawyers can cause probate delays. General lawyer didn't realize that the will wasn't properly witnessed. This actually goes back to, make sure you have a good lawyer when you sign a will or create a will. But, at a glance, we were able to tell, oh, there's a problem there. And there's, we know that there's sort of a runway on how long it'll take to fix that. Yeah, it's not impossible, but we have to track down the witnesses now, get signed affidavits, maybe even track down the attorney who supervised it. But general lawyer didn't realize or didn't understand how long that would take. And that's sort of that work should have begun immediately. But no, we had to start from scratch. We had to track. We began the process of tracking down the witnesses again from the starting line. Yeah.
Yep. From literally ground zero.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know this sounds like we're kind of patting ourselves on the back a lot here. I'm just trying to point out for Linda and anyone else who's in her situation, why having an experienced attorney can just immediately see the next 3 months of what your case is going to look like. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. And so, with that too, if you have an attorney that takes on a case, let's say for an accident or an injury, and they've never done it before, they're going to run into the same problems, right? It doesn't matter, what it is. If it's not something that they do all the time, like I always joke and say, how many probates have you done? Like 1 million or maybe 4. But you know what to do right away. You can hit the ground running. But if it's not something you do all the time, you're going to miss things like this and add all these delays.
And it's totally reciprocal, meaning if somebody asked me to litigate a car accident case, oh man, I would be terrible at that.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. That's what I mean. So it isn't like we're patting ourselves in the back. You would never take on a litigated case, car accident, slip and fall, something like that. because you just know that's not your thing, and you don't, could you do it? Sure, but would it be
Maybe.
great? You'd have to go back and read a couple law books again. But that's why you go to somebody who does this all the time with whatever type of case it is.
Yeah. Don't get into a my cousin Vinny syndrome where you think, he's a charismatic guy, he'll figure it out. Doesn't always work out well.
Well, the movie ended well,
Yeah.
so therefore,
Oh,
it
yeah.
happens in the movie,
Come on. It's like a fact now.
right?
All right. So let's talk about another problem with using a general lawyer and not an experienced probate lawyer. The general lawyer might just give you bad advice. In Linda's situation, unfortunately, we have a couple of examples of that. So Linda's deceased relative owned an income-producing property that had, rent-paying tenants, and general lawyer told the tenants to stop paying the rent.
Oh,
I just don't get that one. I mean, general lawyer did say, put it into escrow and then just pay us a lump sum later.
oh yeah, okay.
Does that happen in the real world, or does that money just disappear? I mean, I guess sometimes it happens.
Have you ever seen that happen where a tenant gave a lump sum?
That money tends to find a new home.
Tends to disappear into whatever else can be bought with that money. Yes.
So even if they did have the intent to pay later, and let's say an accident came up in a family emergency, that they're going to use that money, and
Absolutely.
and it just leads to even if they do end up paying, there's the risk of non-payment and the headaches involved with litigating that. You just created more work. I mean, maybe that was the goal, to create more work. I don't want to be too suspicious, but anyway.
And you've cost the estate more money because, like you just said, litigation.
Yep.
And then what about all the rent that is now gone? That would have been for the estate.
So another problem that's a result of all of general lawyers' delays is that Linda hired general lawyer last summer. They could be on the market by now. They could have sold that place by now, which is the goal, to sell this house. But because of all these delays, we won't be able to hit market until next couple of weeks. So we have to sell in the dead of winter, which is not ideal.
Ugh.
And now we have to incur the headache or just mental cost of winterizing and just making sure we don't have pipes bursting. I mean, it's just something that could have been totally avoided.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to sum it up, it's just a lot more time, stress, and aggravation for Linda or any client who's in this situation. Unnecessary 6 months of delay. I don't think anybody would be happy with that. So how do you avoid all this? I hate to say it, but you just got to make sure you're working with an experienced probate lawyer from the beginning. And the best way to do that is to, I know lawyers don't love this advice, but clients, you got to shop around and have a couple of consultations, and who sounds like they know what they're talking about, right?
Yes.
And compare,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
And if they have, let's say, a website with 16 different types of law that they personally are involved in, honestly, that might be too much, right? You may maybe just focus in on a couple. You'll get a good vibe when you check, like you said, do your homework, do your research.
Yeah, I think that's it, Janice. I think that's the best way to avoid this.
Yeah. So probate, we've talked about, is not easy. It's complex, right? I suggest Anthony's book, How Probate Works. Read it. It's a quick read. Get a sense of what goes into it when you're making the decision of who's going to help you with this. Do they know these things? It'll definitely help. But like you said, good advice, shop around.
Cool. I hope this helps somebody avoid a similar headache. Whether it's with us or with there's plenty of other competent probate attorneys. Just make sure you get one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Just shop around. They're out there. They're definitely out there. Look for one. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Janice. Thanks everyone for listening. Hope this helped, and we'll talk again next time.
Talk soon.
Bye now.